So now we have to understand what is the 802 authentication and what is the MAP authentication. Web authentication, we'll discuss about this in wireless feature, right? What is the web authentication when I'll explain. But let's understand what is the 802 dot authentication, what is the MAP authentication. So see, in modern network, we probably use the NAC, network access control or admission control. If you find the Google, you'll find two kind of the definition: network access control we said, or admission control we say. So this NAC is going to always use this protocol 802.1x. This is going to be used always. This protocol is going to be used, and how it looks like. Let me show you the 802.1x configuration. 802.1x configuration on Cisco switch. Let me show you. So probably you guys have seen it. If not seen, let me show you. See, and this is again going to be managed by your NAC server, radius server, whatever we have. So whenever you just configure, you just have to configure this all command VLAN dot one's case VLAN, whatever we have, and see these all dot one's traps authentication. These all additional command is going to be happen on your switches. Without this all configuration, you cannot do that. Your dot one 802.1x authentication. So probably you'll see here, always you required your client required to connect it with the switch. Switch port need to be configured with 802.1x configuration. Then it is going to be communicate with your radius server. And see how it is going to happen. So they are going to perform like a lot of packages between them, and once they are going to fully authorize, then it is going to be connect and get the IP address from the VLAN. So you can see radius authentication could be the I server as well. So EAP OL start message, then request identity, then it promote the respond identity, then it is going to send on behalf of this client. This switch is going to reach out to radius server. Radius server again challenge it, and then it is going to send for the OTP. Again, it is provide the OTP request, then it is going to provide that message again, access request, then it is going to be accepted, and then it is going to be authorized. Once it is going to authorize, it is going to get the VLANs. So you'll have the very long configuration. See, this is the AAA model. You have to define switch, and then you have to dot one x server group you have to define, and then finally you just have to configure the switches with the very long configuration. Let me show you in some image. You'll find that. So see, this is the configuration. See, so authentication port control, this is all we have to understand. So .1x authentication is always going to happen for the all endpoint devices. So if you want to secure your endpoint devices, this 802.1x is going to be required. This 802.1x is going to be required. So although we just don't have to configure it because we don't have the radius server, ICE server, so I cannot do the lab testing. But yes, even in the syllabus, you just have to understand where it is going to require. So if you find any switch port having the very long configuration, similar to this, you don't be confused. You can see there is a map also. So I'm just going to explain what is a map as well. So you don't be confused. What is this? I'm not seen this kind of a configuration ever in my life. See, this is a real PC. A lot of we have in the authentication host mode, multi-auth, authentication open, authentication protocol auto. These all we are seeing here. So we can configure this authentication, but when the machine is going to be connected, the machine always going to reach out to your authentication server, and these authentication server might be, we see the top ICE or radius server, they are going to authenticate based on these packets flow. So you have to first reach out to switch will verify you, then it is going to reach on behalf of you to server will challenge your all the requests, then you have to proof again your request via the OTP, and then once you prove, then it is going to again send on behalf of you to server, and then it is going to accept it, then you're going to fully authorize, else you will going to be unauthorized. Okay. This is about the API, sorry, not API, this is the 802.1x. So once you configure this 802.1x on your computer, it is going to authenticate it. Then you'll get the IP address, then you're going to connect to the network. So let me show you. So this kind of the configuration is going to happen. So now you have a question, what is the MAB? So see, all endpoint devices like your PC, what is the endpoint devices? So your PC, you having a laptop, you having a servers, we having the AP, we having the IP phone, we having the printer, lot of endpoint devices we have. So if devices which doesn't support this .1 802.1x authentication, some devices doesn't support. Which devices? Like IP phone, IP phone and printers generally not support the 802. Authentication. These all support the 802. Authentication. So if they not support the 802. Authentication, then we have in the less secure, that is known as the MAC authentication bypass. MAC authentication bypass. So we have the another option, MAB. So if you want to bypass this MAC basis authentication, because if your MAC is not going to be authenticated, then you are not going to get IP address. So IP phones doesn't support, printer doesn't support this kind of authentications. Nowadays, most of devices support it. The device doesn't support this kind of the authentication, then you have to use this MAB, MAC authentication bypass. Then once you configure this MAC authentication bypass, where it was earlier, I showed you, right? In some configuration, this map. So if map is configured and you fail to authenticate on 802.1x, then it is going to bypass. If you are not going to configure map, then it is not going to bypass and your device will never get the IP address and never going to connect with the network. It will get the IP address, but temporary IP address, which is not going to give the full control access of your networks. So this is how your map is going to come in a picture. Okay. So I hope you understand the 802.1x and the map authentication. What is the wave authentication? So wave authentication is something like you connecting any like Wi-Fi, right? You connecting any Wi-Fi, you have to like might be you visited the airport, you visited like some kind of the railway station, metro stations, right? So you're going to connect the free Wi-Fi. So might be whenever you connect the SSID, you get the pop-up. So those pop-up, you just have to put the credential, mobile number, then OTP is going to come. So this is the web authentication. Again, for that, you have required the web portal based on the Cisco WLC or your ICE portals. And then they're going to redirect you. And then based on your OTP or username and password, it is going to authenticate it. So web authentication is another way for the any VoIP user or remote roaming users, which is going to connect any network, or maybe even in the office, your laptop wanted to authenticate with some SSID and web authentication is applied, then it is going to be applied to you as well to just give the additional level of the security. So this is all about the web authentication. If you guys understand what is the 802.1x, what is the map, and what is the web authentication, you just have to know about it, nothing more about that. Okay, so let me move to next.